Bad movie crew. Bad movie crew.
And we are back. I know a lot of you thought that Christmas took us, New Year's took us, but we are still here. We took a little hiatus, and mainly because of scheduling. More often than not, it's just literally just scheduling. You know, we have day jobs, we have stuff that we need to get done, and we took a break, and then the break turned into a mini vacation. So we are here. I am your host Neil. He is my brother from another mother, Mark.
What it do, baby? What it do?
What it do, baby?
What it do, baby?
Put it in the comment sections where that come from. If you can name at least one movie where a character says, "What it do, baby?" Put it in the comments. Let me see how I want to know movies, like if we know movies. Anyhow, we are back. As I said, we had a mini vacation, an intentional mini vacation, of course. But we are here. Mark, how have you been, my brother? I know you've been busy. I see you looking very GQ with your stylish glasses with a little frosty tint. Look at you, look. Shit.
Standing on the goal, standing on the goal,
Oh,
standing on the goal.
no.
Let me know there. It's like old.
Huh.
I old.
Yeah.
The eyesight ain't what it used to be, so I need to see when I'm driving.
Mhm.
I need to see. So embracing the gray. I fight embracing the grays and embracing the age. So
Mhm.
you know, I'd rather be able to see than go get drive boat at night. So
Yeah.
this is what the new look is. I'm trying to be all stylish in the new year,
Stylish.
but stylish. But you know, again, yeah, our little break turned into a good vacation, but it was hectic. You know how it is. Tourist season, winter season is busy for the hotels. I'm glad for it. Let me say that I prefer being busy than being home. Being busy at work.
Same here, brother. Same here.
Had being home, but we got work. Gonna be scheduling, and we promise to be a little more consistent in the upcoming year.
Yes, sir.
So, my brother, what we hitting the people with today?
Well, as you may know, as the people out there, the goodly people out there may know, on March 4th, the upcoming Batman movie, The Batman.
Not to be mistaken with Batman or Batman Returns.
No.
Or the Batman the animated series, or you know all the other Batmans that they've had before.
Or The Batman, that was also an animated series there, so a few years ago. But anyhow, we dipsy doodle. There is a movie coming out. It is called The Batman, and it's starring. Yeah, it's called. It's starring. It's starring Robert Patterson, as Mark would like to call him, Sparkles. That is obviously a joke because he was in the Twilight series, sparkling and being the worst ever depiction of a vampire in any literature, any film, any medium at all. Anyhow, but
we got thought on that movie, but we gotta review that series.
Nope.
Not really.
Because I am not watching Twilight. I have survived watching Twilight from relationships, past relationships, much to some argument and dismay, but
it's happening.
I am watching, I am watching Twilight. I am reviewing Twilight. Anyhow, we dipsy doodling, we digressing. We are covering we're leading up to the Batman movie. We're going to be covering Batman, the character. We're going to start kind of like a series where we in this episode talk about Batman, the character, his creation, who he is, what he is about, his motivations, his weaknesses, strengths, etc. Some of the things we have a problem with as he is as a character. And then after this, we'll do Batman in television. Obviously the animated series, the same, the Batman Beyond, and the Adam West Batman. Anything to do with Batman in television, we will talk about that. And then before we review the Batman movie when it comes out, we will be covering Batman in film. Now that would obviously cover the Tim Burton movies. That would obviously cover the Ben Affleck Batman, shoot nipples and George Clooney ER Batman, all of the Batmans, however you want to pluralize it.
We will don't leave the kid without it.
Oh, child. Right, because it has a dark days of Batman. But anyhow, Batman. So first, let's give a bit of history of Batman. Batman was created by Bob Kane and Bill Finger in 1939, making his first appearance on March 30th in Detective Comics number 27. He is heralded as the world's greatest detective, and he has, essentially he is a man that, through things that would have happened in his life, he became Batman, right? He's a
Mhm.
vigilante. He fights for justice. He does not like the feeling of being powerless because when he was a child, his parents were murdered in front of him, and that left him with a sense of one, disgust with the levels and the despair with which Gotham got into, and then he wanted to never feel that feeling again, right? And he also wanted to conquer his fear. That's where the bat came from, etc., etc. Now, Batman is all supported by Batman, his butler. You know, Bruce Wayne is the
Mhm.
Batman, and he is absolutely rich. He is filthy rich. He is a billionaire. He was the first.
It is a part. While doing a little research, one website had it as inexhaustible wealth. I mean, if you got inexhaustible wealth, you could be anything in the world you want to be.
I just saying, back in like the 80s and 90s when Batman, people were millionaires, characters were millionaires. Batman was the first person to be a billionaire. I remember when he was, I think it was either the first Batman movie, the 89 movie, or one of the ones after that, they marked his wealth as being a billionaire. And I was like, geez, on Brad, the man even using the M movie, he just rich. And he is
Just
stinking
rich.
rich, right?
Correct.
He's a philanthropist. He has Wayne Industries, which they deal with,
Ponzi
technological.
scheme. Ponzi scheme.
We can get there.
Ponzi
We
scheme.
can get there.
Right.
We can get there. We believe you me. We can get there. But he is a character created by DC, published by DC. He is alongside characters like Superman, Wonder Woman, Martian
Green
Manhunter,
Lantern.
Flash, Green Lantern, Aquaman, and he does not have any powers, no discernible powers, right?
Inexhaustible wealth. Man lists that as one of his powers, huh? Oh, you know that.
Well, it has to be.
Has
Because
to be.
if we ain't got that, well, we can get into that more. But he is a founding member of the Justice League. He's very pivotal in protecting Earth, and he is a very formidable adversary of all the superheroes in the DC universe, right? Shoot, some of the most dangerous and feared villains are actually afraid and respect Batman, especially knowing he has no discernible power, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Mark, I can ask you this. What do you think of Batman, the character, in terms of his creation, what he means to comics, what he means to pop culture, and just how he is as a superhero?
He actually is very important to pop culture, to be quite honest. He is in the top 3 most, what's the word he wants? He is the most published, most popular character there is. There's you could toss it up. There's Superman, Batman, Spider-Man. Those 3 have been in media the longest, and they have been, well, probably not Spider-Man, but the first 2 for sure have been in media, and there have been so many different iterations of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
So he is at the forefront of popularity, and probably one of the, I want to say, one of the most relatable superheroes there are out there, because almost everybody else has a power, has a gimmick. He's literally a man that, through sheer force and determination and will and hard work and putting in that grind, turned himself into a living weapon. He's as you said, IQ through the roof. So he is very pivotal to, I would say, saving. Well, he's pivotal to actually having live action superheroes being taken seriously. The 1989 Batman movie kind of, hey, push it to say that we can actually make these viable movies, but we will get to that a little later down in the series. The character, I'll be quite honest, I'm not a fan. I'm not a big fan of it. I mean, it's hard to sit here and nitpick about something that is fictional,
Mm-hmm.
but I just think a lot of is like his plot armor is literally, prep time. So I respect that he goes out every night, puts his body on the line, knowing that when jumping from one building to the next, he can wring an ankle and he put up for a month. That sort of thing. He's has the idea of what he's trying to do. I understand and I get it, but in practicality, like when some of the more powerful villains land, he gotta get up on the phone and holler, Clark. I need a little help here, buddy.
And that boom tube
When
open.
the boot too open.
Dark side come up with his 2 hands behind his back. He is if that open in Gotham, he is calling Clark.
He call it, hey, oh, hey, Clark, hey, I need a I
You
need a little
busy?
favor there, buddy.
You busy?
You busy? You busy? I mean, a little need a little help. But
Listen,
again,
dog.
I got a little man, look, I got big my head, I walk through a boom tube. Here's a sure I can deal with that. But you respect him for what it was, and again, he was created in a time where comics, I don't think they ever created him to the extent where he'd be scrutinized the way we scrutinize media and stuff nowadays. So they took a lot of liberties with him. I mean, crazy. Realistically, no human could be beating up man all night and still go work the next day and be and not be popping off the net in the chair. I mean,
it helps that he's a billionaire.
I'm saying,
You got 9 to 5.
as a man, if I stand up past 6 or 7:30, 8:30 for the night these days, when I go right the next day, it's problems. Like
You're fighting the crime.
I'm fighting the crime, so
Barely fighting sleep.
Jeez Lord. So the character, I get it. I get what he represented in the 30s, and I will say they've tried to, I guess, modernize him for these times that we're in, but at the end of the day, they still have to rely on this prep time plot armor thing because he's only human. And in a world where you have Amazon goddess, you got two aliens, you got a man with a ring that could construct.
Whatever he feel like.
What he feel like, you got a man that can breathe underwater and is near indestructible.
A man that
you need that.
You got a man that can run one side of the galaxy to another in less than a second.
Yeah, so in the what is called them? It's called them metas now, right? I
Yeah,
think
metas.
That's what they're called in the DC world. They're metas. So you have to create something that would help him even the playing field. So overall, I understand the character. I'm just not a super fan of it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I get it, and I will watch the live action and stuff like that just to see the thinking of it or how they're trying to portray him this time. But I overall, like I said, I'm not a big fan, but I respect the idea of what he stands for and the source material and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, for me, everybody knows I'm a huge Superman fan. He's my favorite superhero, particularly DC Universe. And I will admit, I mean, those who know me know that I always make jokes off of Batman and stuff like that, but we can get into what we don't like about him as a character. But I do respect Batman. I do like Batman. When the Tim Burton Batman came out in 1989, I was fascinated by that, not only because the only point of reference for live action we had for Batman was him doing the Adam West jokey Batman with boom biff pow. Now, while as a young man, as a little boy, that was entertaining. For somewhat transitioning into teenage years, you wanted something a bit more gritty and serious, because I kind of, from the comic books, you kind of understood and saw what Batman was really supposed to be, right? I always thought that Batman was a really cool character, and I understood where they come from when they were making them, because oftentimes Superman and Batman are seen as some of the first superheroes, right? It was written during a time where there was war, there was, coming off the heels of the Depression, a whole lot of crazy stuff was happening at that time, and you wanted to create things for people. You wanted escapism, especially in your young boys and men. And Superman is obviously could do anything. He is, could jump really high at the time. He's invulnerable, see through things, eye beams, cold breath. He could do it all, but he was not relatable because he was from a different planet. Now, while some people did like him, others wanted something a bit more grounded in reality, and that is where Bruce Wayne / Batman was created. Granted, at that time he was a millionaire. Actually, back then he was not even given like a label. Yeah, he wasn't given a monetary designation. He was just wealthy. Right, and through his wealth, he was able to buy things like a Batcopter, which is basically a helicopter with a bat mask on it. He had the Batmobile, was a car, with a mask on it. And he obviously lived in a mansion, had Alfred, had Robin, etc. come along eventually. But I always respected Batman because I understood him. They made him a bit more humanized. He was more relatable. And I could have seen that in the comics and when it was translated in the Batman film, the first one. Because he lost both of his parents. Now, Superman did lose both of his parents, but he lost both of his parents. He lost everybody.
Actually, he lost all his people, and then he lost his Earth father.
Right.
So he got some grief.
Yeah, but I'm saying it was never really brought to you. It was never relatable. It was never brought over in a relatable way because let's be honest, losing all of your people is something very hard to kind of conceptualize, to bring over to the reader to kind of grasp, if you understand what I mean.
Yeah, I get you.
So it was easier to formulate Batman, Bruce Wayne, having both of his parents and then being they're lost through crime.
Yeah.
Right.
And I would guess at that time crime would be pretty.
Yeah. Because you come off the depression, you had prohibition, all that sort of thing.
It would really hit home in the times that he was creating.
Right. So, young boy loses both his mother and father. He does have money, so he is taken care of. It also shows the environment with which he lives in. Even though he is wealthy, he still lives in Gotham and he still operates out of Gotham in terms of his businesses and his life and everything. That his environment is Gotham, and Gotham City has spiraled to the point where it took his parents from him. So now he feels he's confronted with either folding. A little boy, he's literally had lost his innocence. He's forced with either being pretty much a wimp for the rest of his life and kind of not caring about what happens in his life or environment, or he could do something about it and confront, one, his fears, two, his demons, and three, use it as a bit of therapy in terms of dealing with fighting crime. Because part of his motivation is he doesn't want another young boy to lose his parents again. He doesn't want another child to go want to be parents to be an orphan again through crime. You understand what I mean? So Batman sets it up. He does things. So that's why I do respect him as a character. I just think that, and ladies and gentlemen, I often believe that Superman, Batman, all of those first generation golden era comic book heroes that first came out in the 30s and 40s were horribly written. Superman, terribly written. Batman, terribly written. The Flash, terribly written. Wonder Woman, terribly written. When they first came out, literally they were flying by the seat of their pants. This is the illustrators and the writers, right? So having said that, I think they did a very good job of bringing the character, as you said, into the modern times by because now people are paying attention to things like art. This man's a billionaire, right? But you can't paint by numbers and see that he's Bruce Wayne. Like, you can't see that even though he does a very good job of concealing his identity and everything like that, there can be a paper trail to find out who this man is, right? And as you rightly said, there's a man that when he's spraining his ankle, he is limited. If he's hurt, he is limited in his action. He will still go out there, but he's still very limited. And so they do a very good job of bringing these pitfalls to him. Before, I did not like the fact that they glossed over certain things. This man is a man, albeit a very peak physical condition man. This man is still, he gave back break. He just have broken ribs, being cracky back, literally. And you have all of these different like situations. You have like, for example, what's his name, the doctor, Crane, Scarecrow is often a nemesis for him. Poison Ivy is also a very challenging foe for him. They're foes. The Joker, of course, right? So it's like they do a very good job of not only showing that he is a human being dealing with these things, albeit to a very extreme way. But to me, I like the fact that it wasn't like back in the day where one episode he get a rib scrap and the next day he out there just breezing. You know what I mean? Just fighting crime or like, right? And they also show like he does have the technology, but he does have the wherewithal to make some of the things himself, and he is very proficient in certain things. He's a man that educates himself to try to be self-sufficient so that he can help conceal his identity. And I like that. I like that about Batman. I do like the fact that he wants to do good in his community. And he think the only means of doing that, because of the corruption of the police system, the judicial system, he thinks the only way is to do this. And, you know, we can get into this now. I guess this is a good segue to go into it. But his negatives as a character, because we joke about it all the time, but he, as much as he is seeing himself as the cure for Gotham City and sees himself as a vigilante, one can argue, and this is why I like him as a character, because he's so fascinating, because we can argue literally metaphysics and philosophy on him being the problem in Gotham or not improving. I mean, I just joke about it all the time. We just have jokes about
Ponzi scheme, man.
Not only the Ponzi scheme, but Gotham, the crime rate in Gotham has only got every other fictional comic book DC city. You see a decline in crime. Nobody ain't getting Metropolis to do nothing. Nobody ain't getting Central City, Ocean City, Coastal City. Nobody ain't getting these cities to do nothing. There's a meme, right? And they said it years ago, right? Where they said that if you got a PhD and you ain't making it in your career, head to Gotham. Right?
Head to Gotham. Friend, Mr. Freeze,
Poison
Ivy,
Pig,
Harley.
we named the serial killer man, Dr. Pig, him.
Pig, Eddie Pig guy. All of them. Like, there's many reasons. Listen, I got student debt. What happened here? I get Gotham. Gotham people always getting bracket. So I gonna be in I gonna be in demand. And then if that don't work out, really in the right city to turn to crime.
They got money and they don't really care about nothing. So
but even Jack Nicholson's iteration of the Joker showed very high level intellect, because he had the scheme with the makeup.
Yeah. The chemical.
He excelled at like physics and chemistry and them sort of things.
Yeah.
So even then you can tell he's high on the IQ chart. Right. Gotham, if you can't make it as a doctor, crime.
Yeah. But
crime.
And that and yeah,
you might get a bracket every fortnight. I'm playing Arkham, but
that way you just call 1-800 henchmen and hire 1,000 men, and Batman keep he busy, but until he get you, he be tired.
There we go.
Right. So since we are fully into what we don't like about the character, that is one thing about the character that I never liked, because they have had to bring characters that are on his level. Mm-hmm. Batman is touted as for all of his physical prowess and his mental agility, he is still but a man. And the people that he have had to fight against, or the adversaries that he have had, they have had to be matching him either in physical strength or in brain power. Yeah, in brain power. So like the Riddler, you have the Riddler.
Joker is actually very intelligent, although he comes off as
he's insane. Not
comical.
He
comes off as comical, but his schemes and his things show very high intellect.
You saw that thing that said that the Joker does have a superpower. His superpower is probability or causality or something like that.
Comedic, I saw it.
Causality or probability. Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah. There's got a lot of them, but that's been my thing. Like I said, also too, if he gets audited, he gets audited. Like let me be really honest here. This man has a bat cave under his house. And has a supercomputer. Well, not in the Christopher Nolan ones, but in the early videos, my man had a bat computer, a supercomputer. Do you know how much power those things need to work?
Man, you going far,
like,
right?
His electricity bill got to be through the roof, B.
That's number one. First things first, unless he is doing something illegal to run the cave off of a separate grid of other than his house.
My man got solar power. No thing there. No, I got solar power. The Batman fans will tell you he got solar power. He was the first boy to harness the sun. He got solar power, dog.
Brother man, I don't care how you swing it, right? That is why I preferred a character like Superman over Batman, because the more and more you go into Batman, the more and more there are things that you could kind of, if you wanted Batman, it ain't hard. Well, it is not as difficult as these be making it out here, right? Because
Right.
he just drive his car to a location, he's fight crime. You could put a track on the car. No, I know people can say he's got electric force field, something crap, or polarity, EMP, something on the car.
Penguin started out in Batman Returns, but we
Exactly,
again,
exactly,
Penguin
right?
started out.
But Batman to me is one of those characters where they overcomplicate him to the detriment of the character, in that there are loopholes and there are things that don't necessarily make sense. I know people can come for me and say the Superman thing is funny that you got your glasses. I was gonna make a Clark Kent reference when we first logged in, but you know, a lot of people just go and say, you know, Clark's heavy glasses, he'd be a whole different mind. And that's fine.
Yeah.
As I said, they're not well written characters.
They're poorly written. Poorly written.
Poorly written. But Batman is one of those characters where it is too bolstered. His and another thing I don't like about the character too is that I understand he is a highly intelligent man. I understand that he has trained his body to peak physical condition. I understand that he knows various forms of martial arts. I understand that he is a man of sheer will and determination. Shoot, he's John Wick in a cult, right? I think for me, my problem is this prep time thing. And I think it was born out of the Adam West Batman, where they kind of poked fun at it, where he had the shark repellent and all of these things in this utility belt. But to me, and we can get there when we get to the animated series and other things like that. There are times where it's be like, and that's why I like the live action movies, because they ground him in reality. Shoot, we can get there. We can talk about the Ben Affleck Batman and how he's very self-aware of who he is and what his role is as Batman in this thing. Like, he understands he's up against gods and aliens and that sort of thing. And he really, in part, he carried away around there. But the thing is I think that and he's a happy balance of what they did with the Adam West Batman, which was very campy, didn't take itself very seriously, and the animated series and some of the television series that took himself too seriously, where it's like, yeah, I am Batman, I can do anything, I know it all. He is almost omnipotent, and that's a problem for me, because he knows everything, he can figure out anything. A lot of Batman super fans would like to tell you he got this whole dossier on how to defeat the Justice League, and to defeat him, that's why he created the Justice League. And it's like, Batman.
And I had this debate with somebody already. Yes, Batman, a prep time or whatever. But anything that, for instance, Clark wake up and say, I really tear Bruce out all he bullshit.
I had enough of this, you know.
And goes to Bruce as Clark with no outward signs of wanting to do him anything.
But they can always say that he got kryptonite on hand. Like there's a
but what I'm saying is, if Clark decides, okay, so if Clark goes to Gotham and just shout Bruce normal, and then just for some reason decide he tired of Bruce and he bullshit and snap his neck there and then, he has no prep time. He has no prep time.
But you see, this is, again, I've had these conversations with superfans too. They're come and tell you then Batman has psychological profiles on all of them, so he knows full well how, what, and where to defuse Superman and Clark Kent and all this BS. And that is my problem with the character. They make him almost Christ-like.
Larger than life.
Yeah.
Larger than
right.
life.
They make him an entity that is super aware and can never be caught off guard. And that's the perfect example you did at the beginning of the show. If Darkseid decide, you know what, I've looked at Earth, and the best way to invade Earth is to hit Gotham first. Get troops on the ground, rough up Batman, enlist whoever won't be enlisted or kill whoever won't be killed, and let me keep it moving, right? If a boom tube open up on Crime Alley, out comes Darkseid, Desaad, and the rest of them, the parademons and all sorts of things, and Darkseid come up with his two hands behind his back. Granny Goodness and all of them, right? Batman got lamp and he said, see what going on, and call the Justice League. If for whatever reason he cannot contact the Justice League, Batman is in Potter. Batman, and that's the thing. One thing I will say about Batman, he understands because this is where about the self-awareness that I like. Batman would see that situation and say, see me, best thing for me to do is to go underground and just keep myself pushing and try to survive so I can get
nothing to do with it.
Right. So he's a strategist. I do like that about him, that he's very aware and he understands that in a situation like that, it makes no sense trying to go up against Darkseid and the Parademons. He cannot win. He cannot beat them. He's out of his league. And if he can't get to the Justice League in terms of like calling them or getting them their attention or whatever, he would literally lie low until he has an opportunity to get there. And that's one thing I like about him. But they always make him seem as though he cannot be defeated. Like, he is the greatest thing out of the DC universe, and nothing, no one or anything can get him off guard. Superman has been taken off guard several times. The Flash has been taken off guard. Wonder Woman, all of them. All of them. But Batman seemingly is the only one, particularly in the animated universe, where he can never be taken off guard. And I always dislike that, because all of the other characters are always seen as having, for lack of a better term, human feelings. You know what I mean? Clark.
They have flaw. They have, like you said, yeah, they have human flaws, but the human in the crowd has no flaws.
Right, but the human in the he has trained his body, mind, and spirit to transcend aliens, Amazon goddesses, people,
Atlanteans,
cyborgs, people that are one with something called the Speed Force. Like, man that got alien artifact that he could wield and do anything with. Like, it is a bit much for me. But I do respect the character. I do think that out of all of the superheroes, there is a relatable characteristic with him than all of the others. Why? Because I think the only DC character in terms of the Justice League I would say that is relatable is maybe Barry Allen, and not necessarily the TV Barry Allen, because oh child, things are gonna get better. Barry Allen from the TV series is, to say a dunce would be an insult to people that are dunce. But he is a relatable character in terms of his motivations, in terms of he understands how, when, why, and where to do certain things. He knows and calculates risks. He does a very quick risk assessment, and he knows how, when, and where to do things.
In those 2.4 seconds, he's understand himself.
So, Mark, we would have talked about Batman. We can look forward to the next episode where we're going to be talking about the TV series. So, my brother, as always, thank you very much for joining us. Anything you want to tell the people?
Yeah, sorry about the break that turned into vacation. We back. We got some things. We got a plan for the rest of the year, and we God spare life. I hope you guys enjoying the content. Remember, as always, like, comment, subscribe, share, hit the notification bell. Share with your friends if you feel that we're talking beer shite and you're a Batman super fan. You can hit me in the comments. You can let me know. We are always up for a healthy discussion, but again, let me be respectful in all things.
All right, people. Peace and love.